Welcome to live chat. Guard your privacy. Okay, I will. How's it going, everybody? What's today? The first? No? Yeah? Or is today the 30th? I have no idea. Time gets away from me. But only today, I want to talk a little bit about my trip to Idaho and most importantly, the Buck Factory. And I hope this microphone is working. I didn't bring my tablet out, but I wanted to talk about my trip to Idaho. I think I have the camera fixed where it can read. I'm not sure if that's straight or not, but I'm wearing the Idaho hat because I went to Idaho for 3 weeks, 3 glorious weeks. Unbelievable time. I want to thank Mr. and Mrs. BZ. It was so wonderful, great, something I really needed. But it was a great trip. Hi, Renee. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Christmas. Happy New Year. All that jazz. I'll probably be on way before Happy Christmas and Happy New Year's, but yeah, so I went to Idaho and stayed in the beautiful city of Coeur d'Alene around this huge lake. I wasn't right on the lake, but I visited a lot of lakes. I visited the Coeur d'Alene, the Hayden Lake, and man, I can't say the other one. It's at Sandpoint, whatever that lake is. I say it wrong every time. Hi, Winter. How are ya? But yeah, I went to Idaho and I went all over the place. I visited lots of great places. My microphone's working, right? Is the microphone working? Somebody give me a thumbs up or something if it's working, or a thumbs down if you don't know what I'm saying. But yeah, so I went all over the place and I actually made it to Montana. So that is I'll do another chat on Montana because that deserves its own little chat. And I have some pictures to share, so I'm gonna have to try putting something on the where I can share pictures because at this point right now I can't share pictures, and I would love to share pictures, but I brought show and tell, so I don't have to share pictures. I do have show and tell with me today because today I've been working on a leather sheath that I should have finished a long time ago before I even left. But as you all know, we had a hitch in our giddy up here where there was no power, and it made it really hard to do any kind of leather or anything. It was really hot. Oh, cool. Be looking forward to seeing you. Right on. So yeah, so I'm working on this leather sheath. Before I get into my Idaho thing and all that, I'll talk a little bit about this. The guy that, okay, during our flooding or during the time that we had the power out, everything went wrong that could go wrong. Absolutely. The sewer backed up twice. Luckily, I have a auger and I can clear that. A big, long 50-foot professional plumber's auger, and I was able to clear that. But then the other thing that happened was a line, what do you call it, drain pipe in the kitchen had eroded or got eaten by the salts in the food. In the old pipes in old houses, the salts in the food can eat the galvanized pipe and it makes holes in it. Well, our kitchen started flooding. Okay, this is while we have no power, like 2 weeks in with no power, the kitchen starts flooding. And we have no idea what it is. And I thought it was a line broke under the slab because I couldn't find anything on the top. And I thought it was a freshwater pipe, like a hot water or a cold water pipe. But I couldn't find anything. It got beyond my skill set. And I was thinking it was under the slab and had to call a plumber. Well, the plumber comes out and immediately finds, because he says he does a lot of old houses, he immediately finds that the pipe, the drain pipe out of the kitchen, where there's a garbage disposal and food goes, gets demolished and sent down the pipe. I don't know what you call it. Well, the salts in the food eat the pipe away, and it had holes all in it, and so it was just pouring out in the wall and then coming out and flooding the kitchen. And he fixed it. It took him a couple hours, and he fixed it, and that problem was solved, but we still didn't have any power. But while I'm looking at him, I'm the leather guy, right? And I'm looking at him, he's carrying this. And it's a pretty nice knife and pretty nice sheath. And it's his favorite everyday carry, but it's got a hole in it. I'm like, dude, I can make you a new sheath. He's like, what? I go, yeah, I can make you a new sheath. And it's a pretty, it's a good work knife. It's nice and heavy, perfect for working. And I tell him, I'll make you a new sheath for that. So a new sheath. I should have had it done, but I just got the tooling done. He says he wants, looks at my sister's back from church. Hey, brown dwarf. Now, I think that's backwards, right? My camera's backwards still. My camera's still backwards. That's F and S. So he wants F and S, that's the name of his plumbing business, on his sheath. So I did that. That's all hand tooled, carved, and then hand tooled in. And this is the welt to keep the knife from cutting the stitches. And then this is the back part of it. And it goes like this. And then I have to I got a new little handmade by AT, or handcrafted by AT. But this is his new sheath. I'll be dyeing it later today, and then putting the holes in it and sewing it. And this is going to go in here and wrap around to hold the handle exactly. He said he wanted it exactly like this one. The only difference is on his and the one I'm making, he's riveting that. This is riveted. Yeah. See, there's the welt. That keeps the knife from cutting the stitches. But when you buy these sheaths from other people, it's hand sewn. So what happens is when one stitch breaks, it can just pull out and unravel. We sure can, bro. We sure can. We should do an interview. So I'm making him this new one, and it's gonna be just like it, except for it's gonna have the FS and the little strap is gonna go in there just like his. It'll go just like that. And it's about the same size. I made it a little fatter, beefier. The sheath's going to be a little beefier. And I'm not going to have it as pointed as that. It's going to be, a little more rounded. But I thought I would share this fun stuff I like to do. In fact, I thought about making some things and selling them in BD's in Brown Dwarf's shop. Send him a bunch of stuff and tell him this is what I want for it. Sell it for what you want. And because I make lighter cases, and I thought I could put a little Squatch on it. Hey, Nuclevi. But I thought about making these and then putting a little Squatch on it, minus the keyring part. Maybe some with keyrings, some with keyrings. I got a bunch of stuff that I can make and send you, and if you sell it, then we'll I'll tell you how much I want for it, sell it for more than that or a little more so you can make some money off it, and I can make some money off it. I won't be unreasonable, honest. Yeah, well, the reason it won't tear through mine is this. When you make a sheath, this is called a welt. So it pancakes in between there. So the knife goes and rides in that little piece right there, and it won't pierce through because it'll ride in here, and it'll hold the knife securely, and it won't cut the stitches when you put the stitches, because it'll be stitched right in here, along here. And then I'm also, no rivets. I'm also gonna, I flattened this out. You can see where they call it skiving. So that'll fit flat down, and then I'm gonna sew that on as well. So no metal. In fact, when I put the snap, I'm gonna put the snap like right about right here or no, it's not gonna have it. So when I put the snap, I'm actually gonna put a piece of leather over the snap, so that also won't rub on his knife. But yeah, so yeah, we'll have to talk. In fact, when I start, hey dear, what's up? Yeah, it was fun seeing you guys in the chat. Was it last night where they were talking about the dog man? I seen the alert come up. That's the first time well, not the first time, but first time in a long time that I seen that live chat come up when I was actually on the computer. I watch a lot of people after the fact. Like I watch Brown Dwarf after the fact usually, because I'm not on when he's live. So I watch a lot of people later, but I put the likes on, you know. So yeah, so when I'm in Sandpoint, I also have a little store. I can sell things there too. That lady wants more high-end stuff, but we'll talk about that. So I'm going to do the knife sheath for this guy. I'll probably be done in a couple of days. He'll be really happy. I told him I would have it done in 4 days, but then the power didn't get turned on, and then I wound up taking off and be gone for 3 weeks. Came back home. Everyone was sick. I'm like, I'm not going to get sick. I'm not going to get sick. 3 days later, I was sick. And it was like, I'm barely getting over that. Crazy, crazy, crazy. Well, anyways, I went to Idaho. And while I was at Idaho, last time I was at Idaho this time last year, one of the things I wanted to do was I wanted to tour the buck factory. But I didn't get to tour it last time. So this time I was like, man, I really got to make it over to the buck factory, right? I got to make it there because I have a knife. I have a knife that I really, 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 since a kid, I always wanted. And man, they package things so nice. I mean, really nice. But this knife, I've always wanted, and I'm going to be making sheaths for these, right? So I'm going to be making sheaths for these knives. And this right here is the Buck 124 Frontiersman. And man, it's a knife, full tang. Man, this is like one big, heavy, really sharp knife. I mean, really sharp. I think it's like a 6.5 inch blade. Really nice, really nice. It's the 124. I know that's all backwards. Yeah, now that's a knife, right? And I have some more I want to share. I just didn't bring them out. I had sent home 5 knives, I think it is. Five knives. But yeah, man, I'm all excited and jazzed about that. But the high point of the whole trip for me was actually touring the buck factory. It was amazing. I had a great time. It was cool seeing how they make the knives and the processes, and I really was interested in the custom shop. I I bought a couple of custom Spitfire S20 or 722 Spitfires, and I had them custom made, and I'll be sharing those. I think I shared a video on here of one of them where it has Squatch, right, where it's lasering Squatch onto it. That one, the day that we toured, it was in their store in on display. I didn't know it was for sale. I thought they were just displaying it. But in the blade, it has a Bigfoot track, and inside the track, it has a Bigfoot walking in it. Inside, lasered in there on the blade. And I was like, oh man, I didn't know it was for sale. But right before we left, I asked about it. I wanted to see it. And he goes, oh, this is for sale. But I had already spent over $400 on knives. It was like, I can't afford it. But then that night in the hotel room, I couldn't sleep. I was thinking about that knife. And I asked BZ, can you take me back to the buck factory? Hey, buddy, how's it going? Javier, how's it going, man? I saw you. Probably the best way is email at this point. Allen, ALLEN, 59 at, or Allen 59 Thomas at gmail.com. Or, let's see, Mrs. BZ made me some cards while I was in Idaho. And I think you can pause the screen and you can put your camera on that, and that'll take you to my Facebook page. And you could message me through Facebook as well. But that'll take you to my Facebook page. I don't know if it works backwards though. Not sure. But Allen59Thomas at gmail.com on the email. Probably the best way. I would give you my phone number, but I'm not going to give it on the YouTube. Yeah, that's the best way. In fact, while I was in Idaho, I was passing out my card to everyone. Just because, right? Hey, people were recognizing me everywhere as a Bigfoot guy. At the restaurant, in the airport. It was crazy. How's it going, man? Crazy. I didn't realize, how many people are into Bigfoot, and I was getting recognized everywhere. We even went to this a furniture shop where they make handcrafted furniture out of pine wood. I mean, like cabin-y looking stuff, raw wood. And they had Bigfoots carved with a chainsaw and some other stuff. All right, cool. So I'm in there and I realize they have these little cans. I probably should get one. I'll share it on the next live I do. But they had Sasquatch in a can, or canned Sasquatch. And if you open the can, it's a little stuffed Sasquatch in this can. Hi, Darlene. So I'm like, I gotta have that. I gotta have that canned Sasquatch. So I pull one off the shelf and I take it to the counter. That's the only thing I'm gonna buy in this store. And as I'm paying for it, the guy's like, hey, you're the Bigfoot guy. You need to meet Dan or Stan. I think it's Stan. And I'm like, sure. And I meet this guy. I give him my card. And he's like, man, you need to meet him. And they go in the back and they grab this guy out, and he's having encounters with Bigfoot all the way up till today. He just bought a property, and they actually had an encounter the day they were walking the property after they purchased it, and him and his dog had an encounter with a Bigfoot face to face by 30 feet and freaked him out. And then later they put a travel trailer there while they're going to live in that while they build their house. And they find tracks around the travel trailer where the thing's looking in the window. And he said he hasn't told his kids. He doesn't know what to do. They told him, man, tell your kids that you got to know. They have to know. Everybody there has to know, don't be afraid. So I'm actually going to work with him on how to keep those things at bay away from his house. But yeah, so I met like 3 people in Idaho that are having Bigfoot encounters recent around Idaho, in northern Idaho. And one of them was in Sandpoint, one was in Coeur d'Alene, and one was in Hayden. And amazing. Yeah, I love knives. That's something I haven't really shared over the years, is my love for guns and knives and leather. Only recently have I decided that I'm going to start sharing my love of leather. Like I made that guy, I made him a different sheath, but I got too carried away. It was like, man, I shouldn't have went that far. The dots, that's a little much, right? So I cut one out and no dots. This is what he's going to get now, F&S. Yeah, I felt like an idiot after I did all the designs on him. Like, the plumber don't want to carry that to work every day, not at all. So I felt bad, and I quickly made another one. So he'll get one that he'll actually carry. But yeah, the trip to Idaho was amazing. You make the sheaths. You make kydex. You make kydex. You do leather as well. I looked into the Hi Velvet. I looked into it. The kydex dunder. I think I'm just gonna stick with the leather, even though there's some holsters and knife sheaths I think would be excellent with kydex and leather, if you know what I'm saying. I didn't bring back any potatoes, man. I found out, what I found out? The potatoes they eat in Idaho aren't even from Idaho. What? I think they said they were from Montana. So all the potatoes they eat in Idaho are from Montana, and all the ones in Idaho get shipped to us probably. Just like here in California, where I live at, they got these peaches. They're like this, big oranges, juicy, yummy, sweet. And you go in the store and there's these little bitty ones, like little hard things. Hey, man. Kydex holsters and sheaths, leather hybrids. See, that's cool. Leather hybrids, that's cool. But yeah, I found out they're like us. They don't eat the fruit of their state. It goes somewhere else, and they get all the imported crap like we do, because the people will pay more for it somewhere else. Even though I would pay a premium to get some of the big sweet juicy peaches and sweet juicy oranges and big old fat hanging grapes, But I heard most of that gets sent to Japan from here. They pay way more, probably $15 a pound. I won't pay that, But what a trip, huh? It makes me want to buy my own peach tree or grow my own peaches and stuff, which I've thought about. I'm not sure about oranges, but peaches. And I'm gonna this spring I'm gonna put in a worm farm again and start growing some worms. So I'll be selling, by next summer, I'll be selling, or maybe it'll be a long ways out if we're still here. We're running out of time, guys. We're running out of time. Time is getting short. Everything's coming to a head. And right, yeah, see, you get all the You get the Idaho potatoes way over there, and then they grow something in North Carolina too. I can't remember what it is. Maybe it's Georgia peaches. I don't know. My son's in North Carolina though. He just moved there. He got he got promoted in his company. They have a plant in Indiana. That's where he was at, and they make outdoor furniture. They're called Polywood. They're in Roxborough, North Carolina. And my son was moved up through the company over in Indiana at the Polywood plant, and they just they just made him the plant manager in North Carolina over the new Polywood plant they have in North Carolina in Roxborough. Huge, like, I don't know, 8 or 10 buildings, something like that. Huge plant. But he's the manager of the plant. I'm pretty proud of him. And I have another son that works for Polywood. He lives in Indiana, and he's also a manager, but not quite plant manager. He said he's happy right where he is. He doesn't really want to take on any more responsibility, and I understand that. His wife makes a whole bunch of money at what she does. I think she does nails, but 6,000 a week doing nails. Like, maybe I want to do nails, right? Man, that's a lot of money for doing nails. But he's happy. They're buying their own home, doing all that stuff. So he's all happy. All my kids are successful. It really, pretty proud of them. 6 kids, and they're all, well, one now 5. One passed away. In fact, that's Winter's husband. He passed away a few years ago, right around this time of the year. I think it was right before his birthday. So February, I'm pretty sure, right in there. I can't remember. It's hard to keep track anymore. When you have 6 kids and 26 or 9 grandkids and 2 great grandkids and 2 more on the way, you start feeling old. You start not remembering anything, like you can't remember everybody's birthday. You can't even remember all of them's names half the time. Can't even remember my name. Heck, what are you talking about? Yeah. Yeah, so the trip to Idaho, it's beautiful up there. Man, gorgeous. Bigfoot everywhere. In Hayden, they have I think, no, it's in Redrum. Am I saying that right? In Redrum, they have a Bigfoot statue and on a mountain. So I thought that was interesting. So there's a huge Bigfoot, lot of Bigfoot, yeah, until winter. That's what I thought. Yeah, it started. I actually missed all the 70s here. When I was over there, it was what the highs were: the 50s, the high 40s, low 50s, and it was 75 here all the whole time. Then I get back now, it's 50s, right? So I missed all that. I saw some good stuff in Wallace. Wallace was the center of the universe. That tripped me out. Rathdrum, that's it, Rathdrum. Rathdrum has the Bigfoot on a mountain in a park, some park over there. Visit it, got some pictures, right? Posed with the Bigfoot. Rathdrum. My favorite is city in Idaho, Athol. That's where I want to live because I'm an Athol. If I move to Idaho, I'm going to live in Athol with all the other Athols. Yep. Because I'm an Athol. I just love that name. And it's not far from Sandpoint and Coeur d'Alene and actually Washington. Bayview is, I didn't go to Bayview, but I, the whole place is beautiful. The whole state is beautiful. I got to meet with Nate Rudd when I went up there. We had dinner with Nate Rudd, and he was telling us about his Bigfoot sighting over in Washington, and he's over there by Spokane, Washington, And that you fly in, when you fly in over there, you fly into Spokane, and then it's like 30 minutes from Coeur d'Alene, maybe even less. But he was over there, and we met him for dinner, and we picked out this Mexican restaurant to meet him at, and told him which one it was. He's like, "Hey, that's my daughter-in-law's restaurant. She owns it." So that was cool, and that was in Coeur d'Alene. So his daughter-in-law and son own a restaurant in Coeur d'Alene, a Mexican restaurant, which is pretty cool. We met him over there. Talked Bigfoot, of course. Nate, he's a Bigfoot guy, and man, what an encounter! If you ever want to hear a scary encounter, look up Nate Rudd and his Bigfoot encounter. I think I'm pretty sure he told his story on How to Hunt, and also Edward Monge did a video on him of his Bigfoot encounter. I mean, some big ass trees were put in his camp, like knocked down right in their camp with them there, right? And then they stayed. I would have been gone. First time, that I knew the Bigfoot were being rambunctious like that and knocking trees down, I would have been out of there. All they would have seen was dust where, poof, I would have been gone. But no, he stayed. They stayed another night and scared the what out of them. You know, I don't know. I'm scared of him. Yeah, Athol. That's my favorite city. When I go to move to Idaho, if I do, I'm gonna live in Athol because I'm an Athol. I'm gonna be all with them Atholians, right? Yeah, I'm a big Athol. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, I think that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I was making Athol jokes the whole time, right? The whole time. Don't get me started. That's too funny, man. That's too funny. Yeah, Athol. But yeah, it was really a fun time. And then one of the nights, last year, I built BZ's studio, and he built the Black Pearl, this big badass computer. I mean, even for the next 5 years, that's going to be a badass computer. It won't be even getting near needing an upgrade for at least another 5 years. It's like still to this day, the top of the line processors, maxed out RAM, maxed out, I think it was a 28 or a 4080 graphics card, which is today like what everybody gets in their computers, but his is still the top of the line one. So it'll be a few years before he needs to do anything to that computer. But I commandeered his studio that one day and did a live in there. I wanted to do it some more, but I was busy. Over there, man. I was getting around Idaho, and I did a few live shows with BZ on the BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon. Yeah, hi, Ivy. Where'd the bug come from? It's too cold for bugs. I think it was a mosquito. What the heck? Only in California, right? California is spelled with a K, always. California. In fact, I've been looking to buy a pew, a pistola here in California. And I was talking to my buddy that owns a pawn shop, and he has his FFL. I asked him if he could buy new ones, order new ones, and because I'm looking to get California with a K though, right? California with a K. I'm looking to buy a 10 mm. I'm trying to say it where I don't get messed up, right? I want the Glock 10 in a caliber of 10 mm with like a 5-inch barrel, because they have unlike a 44M. 44M would be the smallest thing I would probably carry because of the Bigfoots in the woods. But if I was going to carry anything other than a 40 or a 44, mag, it would be the 10 millimeter, because the 10 millimeter has the muzzle velocity of a 44 mag, and it's a 40 caliber. The 10 millimeter is a 40 caliber, same caliber, but only more powder. It's more like a 357 Magnum powder wise, but bigger than a 357 as well at 40. And that'll stop a bear. It has really super penetration and a lot of stopping power for big things. So the reason I pick a 10 over the 44 mag, the 44 mag only holds 6, right? Yeah, you tell them it's not for them, right? Yeah, even though they can read your mind. But the 44 mag only holds 6, and I could get the 10 millimeter holding like 15 or 11, or way more than 6, maybe twice as many as 6, maybe more than twice as many, and have another magazine where you could carry an extra magazine. So say you have 10, and like that's the limit in California. You could carry 2 mags, so you would have 20. So really, to pop a Magnum magazine out and pop in another one is pretty quick. 44 Magnum, once you're out of 6, you're in trouble, right? You're in trouble. I hear somebody. I thought it was here. So you're in trouble, and you only have 6, so you have to make them count. And in a panic, and I know a lot of people have not been in front of a Sasquatch or a Bigfoot in their life. I know some people want to. Careful what you wish for. It isn't everything that you think it is, and most of the time you're barely above crapping your pants, let alone thinking about your gun or your phone or anything, right? You're barely able to keep from crapping your pants. A lot of people don't understand that. Yeah, with a 357, it'll knock down a bear, but these are bigger than bears. Bigger than bears. And really, the 10 millimeter isn't really that great. It just has a lot of penetration compared to a 357 or even a 44 Magnum. So it'll go deep, and I don't care what you're shooting. You better be shooting for the head on a Bigfoot, because I don't think anything else will kill it. I mean, you'd have to hit it square in the heart or something. But after talking to my buddy, the giant killer, and how they killed the giant at Kandahar, I'm going for the face, because that's the only way they could kill that. And I think they're all the same ilk, right? I think they're from the same place as that. And then, just in case, I'm going to be carrying this, and then you want if you're carrying this bad boy, this is for after you dump every pew thing you got, and then you let them grab you and pick you up. That's when you pull this out and start jamming it in their face, right? And try to go for deep. Last resort. Don't pull this out until he has you and he's running off with you. Then you pull this out, and that's when you start like going in his ear or something. You know what I mean? And I hope they're not tuning into this and deciding they're going to do something to me because of what I just said. But I'm telling you, I'm desperate. I'll be desperate. They're big. They're bad. They're fast. They have abilities we don't have. And they're so big. This is the part that people don't understand. Even if they're little, even if they're your size in height, they're still as wide as a car. I mean, look at your car, and then a Bigfoot is as wide as the hood of your car. Even if it's 6 feet tall, it's big. If it's bigger than that, it's bigger than your car, right? The one I saw was twice as tall as me. It was way up there in the 12-foot high area. The first one I saw was a good 12 feet tall. I'm telling you, like, you're barely able to crap your pants. When I tracked him, his tracks were 15 feet apart, running stride. 15 feet. Each track was 15 feet. He could have took 3 steps and been at right where I was and popped my head off easily. So, like, I used to say that the only thing I was worried about was the critters on 2 legs. That's still the case. The critters on 2 legs. But all the critters on 2 legs, not just the people, the other people, the forest ninjas. I know that nobody has come back reporting that they attacked them. Some people have, where they've been scared out of them, scared out of the woods by them. But I believe that the ones that they actually attack, they don't come back telling any story. They're the missing 411 people, right? Think about it. This thing's huge. It could rip a camper open and grab you out without even breaking a sweat. Rip the door right off of your car easily. I'm going to tell you, easily. Without even breaking a nail. Like, these dudes are bad. And then they could do other things too, like disappear right in front of your eyes. I have a healthy respect for them as much as I have a healthy respect for humans in the woods. Like, I don't trust the humans and I don't trust the forest ninjas. I bet. I don't know. I never seen little people, but I've heard a lot about the little people. My wife's grandpa is a native or he passed away, but he was a medicine man, artist for the Cherokee tribe. You could actually look him up on YouTube and read all about him. I mean, the dude's famous, Cherokee. His name is Cecil Dick. And he was afraid of owls, deathly afraid of owls. And I tried to get that out of him. That was one thing he really wouldn't talk about. And for the longest time, he wouldn't talk about the little people. But over the years, I was able to talk to him about little people, and I got a lot of stories of the little people from him. Like, I'll share one here where he talked about the white people are stupid. And they would move into the area, in a new area, and he knew, he would talk to the people and, what you doing, and they would say, oh, we're going to build a house right here. He goes, don't build it right there. That's in the path of the little people. That's their trail. You'll have nothing but trouble if you do that. Move it over there, like 40 yards that way, and build right there. You'll be fine. They're like, no, we're going to build it over here. He's like, I'm telling you, I'm warning you, don't build your house over there. Then they go and build their house right on the trail of the little people. And then they start having what they called poltergeist hauntings, right? That's what the white people were calling it. He was just sitting back laughing at them. Like, poltergeist. He goes, I told you, it's not ghosts you're dealing with the little people. You built it right on their trail. I told you. But they don't want to admit that. So they're calling it poltergeists or ghost hauntings. And he regaled story after story of what these little people, they're actually they're like tricksters. They really don't like people. And a lot of times their traditions say that if they take you and let you come back, say, and usually you think you'll be gone maybe what you think is a day or a few hours. It might be a whole week. When you get back home, years have went by sometimes, and you thought you were only there 24 hours. A week could go by. I've heard years even. I heard the same with the Bigfoot over there. You know, he was telling me that the Bigfoot, if they ever let you into where their home or their cave, their underground place where they live, if you get if you're lucky enough to get out and get home, several years could have gone by, and you would have only think you were gone a couple of days or 4 days. And he was saying the same thing with the little people as the big people. Days go by in hours, years go by in days in their realm, right? Where you could see them and interact with them, and in their house. Time is different there. So when a Bigfoot says he's really old, when he comes out, he might be really old. Like, he might not be that old in his realm, but in this realm, he could be 100 years old and only be 20 in his realm. Like, I don't know how it works, but I do know, like, they could be young where they are, and out here they could be 200 years old in our realm, because time, the way time is, it's weird. Like in the Cherokee tradition, hey, Daytona, what's up, buddy? In the Cherokee tradition, they Sukalu, is that what it is? Sukalu, how, I don't know how to say it right. But the Bigfoot took one of the Cherokee women, young women. Not by chance, yeah, not by chance. Wow, you meet them? Have they ever taken you anywhere? Like, don't let them take you anywhere, man. I only hear bad things about those things. Like, I heard they're, I don't know what you call it. They have a mean streak. You know, they're not really nice, and they like to trick. Like, they'll lead you to believe, like, what is it, the little leprechauns, you know, if you catch me, you can have my pot of gold or something like that, right? Don't believe anything they say. They never tell the truth to us, right? They never tell the truth. Same with Sasquatch. They never tell the truth. We don't know what the truth is. They could tell you anything. How do you know what the truth is, right? From what I understand, they don't tell the truth. So don't believe these things, right? Don't believe when they, don't just swallow the story and hook, line, and sinker and go around spouting it as truth, because you don't know. And I mean, it's like the aliens. Remember the aliens back in the 50s? If you've ever, okay. Back in the 50s, remember that one Valiant Thor, the alien Valiant Thor? I don't know if you guys ever studied on this, but he was from Venus, right? He says he was, that's cool. So they think they're from Venus. He said he was from Venus, and he could come and go out of the Pentagon. He looked just like us. There's pictures of him. You can look him up. He actually came like right after the nuclear bomb, and lately he's put out a letter talking about his family that live under the ground, in the earth, and they're about to reveal themselves Palladians, right? Well, back then everything was from Venus and all around, you know, close by our planet. But as we learned about the planets around us, all of a sudden now they're from Alpha Centauri, right? They're like way out there. So yeah, how do we know what they're telling, if they're telling the truth? They're not from way out there. They're not from Venus. They're from here. They're actually from another dimension, but here. Like this dimension can be this far away from us and we don't know it. But in that dimension, they could see us, but we can't see them. They can't really interact with this dimension very easily from that dimension. That's why they have to kind of materialize in this dimension. And the only thing I'm telling you is from research, what I've learned from research. This is what I think. My hat keeps popping up. Am I messing up my hair? Anyways, from years and years of research on these things and seeing Bigfoot 5 or 6 times my own self, I worked with the tribes, the Native Americans, and they told me all about the Bigfoot wars and why there was a Bigfoot war. My wife's grandpa telling me about Bigfoot, skinwalkers. He would never say that word, in fact, the one I just said. The owls, the little people, and the lore. And then I tried to research the lore here with the natives here. I got pretty far with the Bigfoot, but not everything. They're real secretive. They don't like to talk about their stuff, their beliefs and what they know. I wish they would. I mean, it's kind of sucks that they have all this knowledge and then they won't share it with us. And I mean, people could call themselves, okay, the indigenous people or whatever. We all are indigenous. The earth is a freaking fishbowl. Okay, no matter where you're born here on earth. I mean, we need to look at it like that. It doesn't matter if you're born in South America, North America, Eastern, the Mideast. It doesn't matter where you're born on earth. We're earthlings. We all have like the same DNA. We're all related from the same 2 people in the beginning anyways. Like, I don't get the geographical thing, but I do know that there was some things or beings that came from another dimension and intermingled with us, and they took women of whatever they chose and had offspring. The offspring their mom is human DNA, their dad is unknown because it's unknown. It's from another dimension. It would be the fallen ones, right? So if you want to put everything into perspective, the fallen ones probably are playing with genetics and causing Dogman, and all these are coming from the same thing. Nothing's coming from outer space. It's coming from that other dimension, playing with genetics and hybridizing with humans and all that. And then the spiritual stuff are the dead ones, the ones that died, took a human body and then died, and now their spirit can't go anywhere. It's stuck here. There could be billions of them running around, and they could attach themselves to a family and stay with that family for generations and generations and generations. Hundreds of years of your family, they could attach themselves to that. Exactly, Digger. Only, without Melba's study, I already came to these conclusions without even knowing anything about DNA, just from my own research over the years. And I seen Bigfoot in 1987. That upset my whole paradigm. I was not a Christian. I never went to church. Thank God the internet came around. I mean, I read every book in the library on this subject in every library I could find, because I couldn't believe that what I saw running around in the woods. And then when I started tracking it, and I saw a little joke a little while ago that if you see the tracks end, look up because it might have got flying away. Not exactly. I have tracked them so many times, and I'm talking like early 80s to early 90s. So like a decade of tracking these things and finding their footprints and then tracking them for several miles and then have it dead end somewhere where you could pick up the track. In fact, a few times I lost the track and I had to rely on the skills that I had, that I was taught as a kid, deer hunting and animal hunting and stuff, to pick the track up again. There was a couple times that I lost the track and I couldn't pick it up again, but it wasn't because the track ended mysteriously. It was because it was smarter than me, and it was able to lose me, and it knew I was right behind it, and it was able to avoid me and make me get off the track. Yeah, I'm telling you, these things are very intelligent. They have their own language. They have capabilities, like they can disappear, and I mean their track will end. Like I think one intentionally led me to the top of a mountain above the tree line where it was like decomposed granite, but it was fine as sand up there. And it was all granite all around, but the granite was sticking out of this really fine decomposed granite that looked like sand all around up on top of this mountain. And I tracked it probably 3 miles from down below the tree line up a cattle trail where the cattle used, that was like moon dust. And when I picked the track up in that cattle trail, you could see the lines in the track. It was so perfect. It had just been there minutes in front of me. And I started tracking it. That one I did not lose the track on that one. He made sure that his tracks could be seen really good all the way up to the top of the mountain. And I had several people with me. And we got to the top of the mountain, and it went right to the top of the mountain. Then the track ended right in the middle of the top of the mountain. In this, and it was perfect. Like the lines in it, you know, the dermal ridges in its feet were perfect edges, like it just left. But it ended. There wasn't no picking the track back up. You know, there was like 125 yards around, and it was right in the middle of it where it ended. There was no way for it to get away and me not pick that track up again. And its tracks are almost 6 feet apart, walking like a tightrope. Like a tightrope. All the way out. And then all of a sudden it disappeared. That freaked me out for several years. Because I did it. That one did it intentionally, I know. That one did that to me intentionally. But then there was other times where I tracked them again, where they were older tracks, and then I would come to the same thing. There you go. Like I was tracking one in the snow, and it went into the woods, and it only went like, let's see, 2 football fields into the woods, you know, on a deer trail, and it was following a deer. I could see the deer tracks too, but they were like a day old. These tracks were older. And then it got in there, and the deer tracks disappeared, quit, okay, like 50 feet into the wood line. And I don't know where the deer went. There was no blood. Just all of a sudden, the deer track ended. And then the Bigfoot track carried on for another 200 yards, and then it ended in the snow. It was in the woods, but it was, you know, a foot of snow everywhere, all around. I mean, I went in circles, wider and wider and wider out, like probably 60 feet. There was no way that thing got away. It did not backtrack. It wasn't where it could jump into a tree. Maybe it did, I don't know, but there would have been sign of it hitting, getting in the tree. It would have knocked snow and stuff off. I would have seen sign. There was no sign of anything abnormal except for that track ending right there. And I tell you, it's a trip. Yeah, in the middle of fields. I haven't read that, but only I'm going to look that up now. I haven't read that. I have heard other people talk about it though, and I know they're telling the truth because I've come on that like at least half a dozen times, if not a little bit more. And like I don't even like looking for them now. I'm kind of over it a little bit. I think my puzzle is full. I don't need to know anymore. I'll still go with my buddies. I'll go with them to hang out and stuff, and I still will bring stuff to defend myself. But I'm not out there actively going to try to track them or anything like that. I'm going to go enjoy however much I can enjoy the outdoors, because that changed with these. Like before I ran into a Bigfoot in my early 20s, I could go lay under a tree and go to sleep and sleep several hours, and I mean not worry about a freaking thing. Go stick my face in the creek and drink a bunch of water. And I mean I was totally at ease. I grew up there. I grew up. I was in a playpen in the woods camping with my parents. I mean I grew up in the mountains. Little kid, 5 years old, I got lost the very first time, scared the shit out of me. I never got lost again, right? And I was only 100 yards from camp, but I was lost and screaming my lungs out. And my parents went and got me. I never did that again. From that time on, I would look behind me. I would go 50 feet, 40 feet, and then I would turn around and look behind me. Because when you go out in the woods, it looks one way. But when you come back the other way, it doesn't look the same as when you were going out. So you have to look backwards to know where you've been, where you came from, and you'll recognize which way you went. But if you never look back and you go half a mile, when you turn back around, you're like, oh shit, I think I went this way. And you'll get yourself lost. So I learned from a very early age to turn around and look behind me so I could pick out trees and rocks and figure out which way I'm going. When I go back, I'll know because I kept looking back to look back at where I'm going, right, where I'm going to come back to. And I learned that around 5 years old, all by myself, because I didn't want to get lost. And I'm telling you, I never got lost again, ever. And I still do that to this day. And I remember one time it was before I saw Bigfoot, and I took some of my friends up deer hunting, and we walked like 5 miles into the woods, and I was following a trail. Okay. It was a good trail, but I was following a trail, and they were with me, and they're yakking and talking and everything. And I didn't worry about looking behind me because I was on a trail, the one you could see, And we were like 5 miles and stopped to have a little snack and was sitting there. And all of a sudden they started panicking. They didn't know where they were. They didn't know how we're going to get back to camp. I'm like, we're on a trail. We just turn around and follow the trail back out that we came in on. What trail? We're not on a trail. They didn't know what a trail looked like an animal trail. They had no idea. And I told them, don't worry, like watch. And we turned around and I walked them all right back out the same trail I followed in, I followed out. Even though I guess to the untrained eye, that trail wasn't so easy to see as it was for me, man. It was a highway to me. To them, not so much, But to me, it was a highway, and it was something I followed all the time looking for deer when I was deer hunting. I would try to find good game trails, highways in the woods. I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's enough of that, huh? I've been talking like a crazy maniac. But Bigfoot, it's been a thing for me since around 1986, 87. And there for a while. I didn't even go back to the woods. The first time I saw that big 12-footer, I didn't even go back. That scared me out of the mountains. And when I finally did go back, I went back with a 300 Weatherby Magnum and a bunch of friends and a 44 Magnum pistol on my side and a big knife. Now I carry big knives too, because if they got you, you can do some damage with a big knife. If they got you and you already spent all your rounds and it didn't do anything and now they're carrying you away, that knife will help you. I'm sure they'll drop you if they don't just kill you outright right then. But hopefully you can get them in the neck or the face or the ear or something and stick it straight through their brain, where they'll drop you before they even realize what's going on. You could take off running and get away, and they won't be able to come after you because they're all delirious or something. But I think about that all the time now. From that time on, I'm always planning something like that. Like, what happens if this happens? I never thought like that before. But now my head is on a swivel. I can't relax. The woods are not comfortable. And now I'm learning they're all down here where I live too. So now when I go to the river or canals or whatever, I'm in the parks, I'm looking for them even down here now. We just had a report of one just a few miles away along a canal. And so even the orchards and stuff out here they're out there, right? They're out there. That's blowing me away, because for 20 something years I drove 3 hours to go where I knew they were. Never had a clue they were right in my backyard, 10 minutes from my house. I haven't really drove the 3 hours now for a long time, because I found they really are in my backyard. I could drive 10, 20 minutes and I could be right there where they are. And dogman and pterodactyls, Bigfoot, who knows what else, right? Who knows what else? And I actually believe no matter where you live, if there's waterways and wild areas by you, they're there. And if you're persistent and you learn a little bit of tracking skills, a little outdoorsman stuff, and you go out there and you're observant and learn the area, you'll start finding them where you live. And I don't care where that is. I don't care what state you're in. I would make a challenge to anyone that they think they got to come all the way where I live or go somewhere else. I bet you can find them in your own backyard. There you go. That's right, Darlene. When I was growing up as a kid in camp, I grew up in a camp, Yosemite, all around there, and my parents were outdoor enthusiasts. We spent every spare moment they had, they went camping. So that meant we had to go camping, right? And they slept in a tent, and we slept on the ground outside on a tarp with another tarp over us for the dew not to get our sleeping bags wet. But we would wake up in the morning. Sometimes the parents would be talking about the women that sound like she was being murdered right outside of camp. Sometimes some of the kids would wake, we would be up in the morning and they heard something. The sound of radio waves, like, woo. They would talk about that. This is when I was a little kid. And one of the things they warned us about when I was little was, if you ever find a staircase in the middle of nowhere, don't get on it. My parents would tell us, don't get on the staircase. If you find a staircase in the middle of nowhere in the forest, don't play on it. Get away, quick, run, get away from there. Don't even go check it out. I never saw one, but I always, in the back of my mind, would be walking around, and I would think about that every so often, like come into a meadow and go, wow, this would be a good place for a stairway. Sure wish there was one here. I would check it out. I'm glad I never found it when I was little, because I would have checked it out probably up till around, probably all through my teens and preteens. I would have checked it out probably, for sure. Stupid, huh? Don't tell me don't do that. It's probably what I'm going to go do. Don't do that. Yeah, I got to check it out now. Dumb, right? Dumb. Yeah. Well, you guys, I really got to dye this stuff. It's going to take, because it's cold, it's going to take all night to dry. And I want to finish it tomorrow. So if I dye it tonight, and then tomorrow I could put the finish on it and leave it in the house and it'll dry. And then I could put the stitch holes and stitch it up and be done. Put a snap on it and call it finished. You know, and then this guy will have a new home. I feel sorry for it. Its home is all messed up. See, there's the welt. So this didn't actually cut. This didn't cut the threads. These threads just wore out because it's a cheap. I would say this was made in Pakistan. I bet this is a Pakistan knife. It says Chippewa. It's a Chippewa cutlery, but I bet you that means Pakistan. I don't know. It could be China. I don't know. Well, you guys, you have a great evening. I'll be back like really soon. I'm going to be doing this a lot more. I'm going to try to figure out how to get that streaming app. I can't remember the name of it, but I'm going to try to get it on my phone so I can share pictures and stuff like that. I heard you can if you put it on there. I can't remember what the streaming app is. Everybody uses it though. StreamYard, I think. StreamYard. I'm going to try to put that on my phone and see what I can do. And I'll do some lives with it, playing with it. So don't hold me if you find a live that's all jacked up and I'm on there and it's having all kinds of problems. That's what I'm doing, is playing with it. So be ready for that. I don't have another channel where I can just play with things. So be patient with me. Get on and mess with me. You know, maybe you could tell me my mic doesn't work or something. You know, I can hear you, but I can't see you. I mean, really mess with me if you want. But anyways, you guys, you have a really good evening. I will. It's fun. I have a lot more to share on knives and some leather projects I got coming for Christmas for some people. And I will show you and share with you. And I'll be back. Be blessed. Our time is running out. Get right with Jesus. It's really important. In fact, you're cooking a duck. Oh my God, I'll be there in 2 minutes. Like, I'm going to fly like a duck to get there. All right, you guys, I love you. I'll see you soon. Let's see if I can do this. Yeah.